I have a very special guest this week, Mr. Bill Jelen. Bill, first off, beautiful wallpaper you have in the background. Would you mind talking about that a little bit? What's that all about?
Sure, absolutely. So what we have back there is the cover of the new book, right? And you've heard of various rock acts over the years who just number their CD like with the Roman numeral, like Led Zeppelin II for, Led Zeppelin II and so on. And so I realized that I was coming up on my 40th book, and the Roman numeral for 40 is XL, right? And it's a book about Excel. So this is just Mr. Excel XL. And so what you see back there are a whole bunch of the covers from the front of the book, just the large XL there, kind of reminiscent of the old Rolling Stone anniversary issue, the 10th and 20-year anniversary, just had the Roman numeral on the front. So,
would you mind talking a little bit about how this book came about? It came about in a very unique way. Would you mind talking about the crowdsourcing and the whole process how this came about?
Right. So, again, I knew it was a special book. I had the title a long time ago, back when I was writing book 34 and 35. I didn't know what was going to be in the book, but I knew I wanted it to be a special book. And special, that means color, glossy paper, a whole bunch of things that are really expensive. And so last December, I went out to first Kickstarter and then Indiegogo. Indiegogo was a lot easier to use. And said, I'm trying to raise money to pay for the color printing in the book. If you pre-order the book, so give me $24, I will send you an autographed copy, and hopefully we would sell enough pre-orders that would be able to pay for all of the color printing. Boy, and the response was just amazing. I think within 2 days we had enough to meet my goal. And then as we went on and more money came in, we actually added a lot of cool things. Szilvia had pitched a cocktail book, an Excel cocktail book, so that's completely in there. The Excel joke book that Jordan and I had talked about is in there. A little bit of Excel theater from Deborah Doglish is in there from Contextures. And just really a lot of fun in this book. Color throughout, the 40 greatest tips of all time, and then another 30 tips from Szilvia for Excel's 30th birthday, 40 keyboard shortcuts. It was a fun book to put together. There you go, Jordan. What do we have? Is that... it looks black and white on your screen.
It's actually my book. No, it's your book. Oh, it does. It's your book. It's the limited edition cover.
The limited, yeah. So that was another perk. If you donated more, you would get this handmade cover that was created down in Nashville on an old letterpress printing press at Hatch Show Print. Just all kinds of different things. It was a really good and fun book to put together.
So Szilvia, this was your first book. Yeah, and you're doing this along with Bill. What was this process like for you as you came into it as a new author?
It was a complete nightmare, Rick. I mean, oh, Bill's on the line. I'm sorry. No,
that was the answer I expected you to say, Szilvia.
No, it was actually really fun. It was really great. The behind-the-scenes story that hasn't been told yet is how this actually happened. Bill, I, of course, ran into you in Santa Clara, and we were shooting the breeze, and I was asking you how you were doing on that great book that you had that Kickstarter campaign going for, and you kind of just had made this face. Like, so let's just say Bill was a little behind on his book, and I got to thinking, well, I have all these wonderful, ideas that someday we're going to culminate in a book, and I thought, why someday? Why not now? So we had already kind of talked about the cocktail book at that point, so that was already a given. And I said, well, why don't I just step in and write some of the Excel tips as well? So so that happened, and it all kind of just happened very quickly. And next thing I knew, I was writing. So it was definitely a learning process, one that and a process that I hope to repeat many times in the future. And like anything, it'll either get easier the next time around or new challenges. But it was really fun. I enjoyed it. It was really interesting to get the the insights from the community. Bill had solicited ideas from all of the people who contributed. What do you really want to hear about? So that was really interesting to kind of get inside the minds of all of the Mr. Excel fans and kind of run with it. So that's that's what I know. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
It's really good to have a co-author, because if it's just you working alone, then it's very easy to miss deadlines. But when someone else is trying to hold you accountable, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, right? You can't let the other person down. So.
Correct. Working, great things happen in teams. Let's call it that, because it's very true. You're going to stick to your goals a lot easier, for me anyway, when you work with a partner or team.
Jordan?
So the first 4, those were written by Bill, and then the next 30 tips were written by Szilvia. So just either of you, what was your favorite tip to write about, or that you liked the best? Bill, you go first. What was your favorite tip?
Yeah, so it's my tip number 1. It's the tip that in all of my live seminars is the one that gets the gasp from the audience, right? So you have 500 rows of data, and you enter new formula over in column up in cell F2, and you have to copy that down. And I always, when I'm doing it live, I grab the fill handle and drag, and it starts going faster and faster and faster and faster. And you blow right below the end of the data, and everyone kind of laughs at that. I say, oh, look, just go to that exact same spot and double click the fill handle, and you hear like half the room will go, right? It's a beautiful trick. So that's my favorite trick of all time.
How about you, Szilvia?
Well, I can't just pick one. I'm going to be one of those difficult answers here. But I did really enjoy. I'll say that I did really enjoy writing about. It was kind of one of the last ones I wrote, and it felt more like a blog post than a tip per se. But it was design tips for Excel presenters. So when I do presentations in Excel, I often create the book in Excel, and I can kind of. So I have these, it's like a spreadsheet within a spreadsheet, so you can it's interactive, and it's great for presentations because you don't have to switch back and forth between PowerPoint and Excel. And so I have a lot of really obscure, goofy, kind of wacky ways that I make that work in a live setting. So it's kind of fun to talk about that because, to my knowledge, nobody else does it. And I know it's certainly not the most productive way of writing a book or materials that you would hand out to a class that you teach. It's certainly not InDesign, but I kind of like that it's weird, if that makes sense. It's different, and it's something that is I think unique to me. So that was fun to write about that.
So, Bill, from our millions of viewers, we get a lot of email in, and we actually got an email in this week with a special question just for you. This comes from Kevin Larabas at myspreadsheetlab.com. This question is, how many future book ideas do you have?
Oh, there's a bunch. And, how about this for a trade secret? Right back here in the back, I listed all of the future books that I want to do, right? And I'm actually looking for people who want to write those books. Do you want to write a book? On page 254. There's the list of books that Excel for human resources, Excel for the hospitality industry, Excel for call centers, 27 minutes to Excel, Excel for search engine marketing, and then this is a great one. This will be a bestseller. It's called Option Explicit: A Cage Match with Jordan Goldmeyer. A beginning Excel book in Spanish, 25 Excel projects, household Excel, elementary Excel, stay-at-home Excel. So it's all right there. This book is as much a recruiting tool, trying to find someone else to write those books for me. Jordan, the Roller Dog book.
Wait, I didn't agree to that. So I'm supposed to be writing a Roller Dog book because I had said to Bill that if something's on a roller, I would eat it. It doesn't really matter what it is. I love roller food. I'm wearing my Vienna beef hot dog shirt right now, so. No, chances are I won't be writing that book anytime soon, and I'm not sure what a cage match book would entail.
It would have to be a we would argue about Option Explicit, which we're not going to do on this episode. I promise.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I didn't promise that.
So, Bill, would you mind talking a little bit about the manufacturing process? What is it from the time you finish writing this, so say you put the pen down, until it shows up in a bookstore or it's available? What does that all look like? So I saw some pictures recently of them coming off a conveyor belt, and that was just crazy interesting to me. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's wild. Originally, when I first started doing books, they were printed in Hong Kong which of course you had no chance to see anything. And then I found a company up in Ann Arbor, Michigan that would print the books. And for a long time I printed here in Michigan, which was still really too far to go away. But then I found a company that's probably just about 20 minutes from me here in Ohio, so it's really nice. When they go to print, I can actually go up and watch. It's a two-step process. On the first day, I think it was Thursday, they actually crank up these monster presses, two-story presses, 8 of them in a row, upper and lower, that are printing 32 pages at a time at a rate of 5,000 per hour. Right, so this thing is just cranking out paper, ink on paper, and folding it into signatures. And what was just fascinating, so I went rolling in there right before they printed the cocktail section, and I'm watching these press just generate tons and tons of paper, and there's a kid at the end who's bunching them all up, and then he grabs 200 of them, and my jaw must have just dropped. He just takes those and chucks them up in the air over into a dumpster, right, to be recycled. And this is called make ready. So they're running the press at full speed, but there's people that are still checking all the registration marks, and until they get a good print, then all of, like, the first 1,000 copies they print just get chucked into the trash. And it's almost like watching a brand new kid, your brand new baby, just being thrown away. I'm like, what? So that all happens on Thursday, and then it was the next Monday. It actually goes to binding. So we had, I think the covers were printed overnight Sunday night. The binding process is really fascinating. They have 9 different sections of the book lined up on conveyor belts. A machine grabs all those, puts them together, puts a strip of glue on it, and it actually bakes the glue as it goes around, trims the book off, and then a long conveyor belt, that's what you saw in the video, Rick, to let the glue dry, and then they finally trim the whole thing. So that's just a fun process to watch. Although, the printing actually happened a few days before. It's when it actually comes together and you actually hear the books ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk out of the machine about 1 every 5 seconds. It's just, it's a great thing to see. I'm sorry that I'm moving to Florida because I won't be able to watch it anymore as they continue to print up here in Ohio, but this was a good one to watch.
I can go watch them for you.
Jordan, that would be awesome. I actually invited Jordan. I said, Jordan, they're going to be doing this at 2 in the morning on Monday, and Jordan didn't know how to get out of that, but then he invented a sleep study that he allegedly had to go to.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
Is that where the wallpaper came from, Bill? The rejected ones that went in the bin?
Well, I told them.
Where did the wallpaper come from?
Yeah, I know that they throw all the stuff away when they're done, right? So their goal is 5,000 books. They print way too many in case there's a major catastrophe with the line. And so I said to them, hey, rather than throw those covers away, save those covers for me. Right? And so I have a stack of 1,000 covers, and so Mary Ellen Jelen and I just cut 56 of them up tonight and made the wallpaper.
Wow.
Kind of on the fly. And I also, I have probably 300 of the cocktail sections left over. I could have made cocktail wallpaper back there too.
That's very conducive for working, I find.
Yeah, the cocktail wallpaper.
Cool.
Yeah, we have plans for that.
The Jordan, question from you?
I do have a question here. Yes, I do. This is a very important question. Now, on this special edition cover, there's these little imprints of pennies. Can you tell our audience about why
Absolutely,
there are
Jordan.
imprints of pennies
Jordan and I talked
on the
about this
special edition cover?
So this cover was made at a place called Hatch, H-A-T-C-H Show Print in Nashville, Tennessee. This place is amazing. It's been there since 1879, making hand-cranked letterpress posters. They have just walls and walls and walls of type. When I say type, metal type, actual physical letters that they arrange on a bed and then put ink on that and roll paper over it. There are no computers at this place. They have no idea what Excel is. It's just like walking back into 100 years ago. So as I told them I was creating a book that was the cover for an Excel book, someone said, oh yeah, Excel, that's what accountants use to track money, right? That was their explanation of what Excel was. So the designer, who was probably an intern working there, said, he called me up, he said, I have this great idea. I understand Excel is used for money, so I want to put all these coins on the bed. And so you can see little coin imprints there. Yeah, those little gold circles are all real pennies that they actually put on the letterpress cover. You know, and I get it. I mean, I track dollars in Excel, not pennies, but yeah. So you'll see those on the cover if you're lucky enough to get one of those covers.